I was standing in the hallway outside my daughter Patricia's old bedroom, where she was talking on the phone, about to knock and ask if she wanted tea, when I heard her voice clearly through the door say, "Mom, I know, but honestly, why bother asking her permission? She'll be dead soon anyway. We might as well start planning what to do with the house now." And I froze with my hand still raised to knock, feeling like someone had reached into my chest and squeezed my heart so hard I couldn't breathe. I stood there in my own hallway, in the home I'd lived in for 49 years, listening to my daughter, my own child, discuss my death with such casual indifference, as if I were a problem that would conveniently solve itself through mortality, as if my inevitable death was just a timeline issue to be factored into her planning. I heard her continue, her voice matter-of-fact and businesslike. "The house is worth at least $450 now, maybe more, and once she's gone, we can sell it and split the proceeds. But I don't want Marcus getting a bigger share just because he pretends to care more. We should settle all this now so there's no fighting later." And I realized she wasn't talking to a friend or a financial planner. She was talking to her brother Marcus, discussing the division of my estate as if I were already in the ground, as if my continued existence was just an inconvenient delay in their inheritance timeline. I backed away from the door quietly, went to my bedroom, closed the door, and sat on the edge of my bed feeling something inside me crack open. Not just hurt, but a deep existential wound, because my daughter had reduced my entire life, my entire being, to an obstacle between her and money. And the cruelest part was that phrase, "she'll be dead soon anyway," as if my remaining years, however many I had left, were so insignificant they weren't worth considering, as if I'd already become a ghost in my own home, already ceased to matter as a living person with feelings and dignity and the right to make my own decisions about my own life. My name is Ann Williams, and I'm 73 years old. I live in Charleston, South Carolina, in the house my husband Thomas and I bought in 1976, the house where we raised our 2 children, the house where Thomas died 7 years ago, the house that has been my home for nearly half a century. Until I heard those words from Patricia, I thought I was doing well. I'm healthy, I take medication for high blood pressure and cholesterol, but nothing unusual for my age. I'm active. I volunteer at church. I have a book club. I maintain my home and garden. I'm independent. I drive. I manage my finances. I make my own decisions. I thought my children respected that independence. I thought they saw me as a person, not as an inheritance waiting to happen. Patricia's words shattered that illusion. If you've ever heard someone you love discuss your death with casual indifference, as if your remaining life is just an inconvenience to be waited out, you know the particular devastation I felt. It's not just knowing you'll die someday, everyone knows that. It's being told that your death is already factored into someone else's plans, that you're being treated as already half gone, that your worth has been reduced to what you'll leave behind. I sat in my bedroom for over an hour trying to process what I'd heard. Part of me wanted to believe I'd misunderstood, that Patricia hadn't meant it the way it sounded. But the words were too clear. Too specific. She'll be dead soon anyway. Soon, as if my death was imminent, expected, something to plan around. I was 73. My mother had lived to 91. My grandmother to 87. I could reasonably expect another 10 to 20 years of life. That wasn't soon. That was a significant portion of remaining existence. But to Patricia, those years apparently didn't matter. They were just a waiting period before she could sell my house and collect her inheritance. When I finally emerged from my bedroom, Patricia was in the kitchen making coffee. She smiled at me as if nothing had happened. "Hey, Mom, I was just going to check on you." "Want some coffee?" I looked at her, really looked at her, and saw someone I wasn't sure I knew anymore. When had my daughter started seeing me as a temporary obstacle rather than her mother? "Patricia, I overheard your phone conversation." Her face went still. "Oh? You were talking to Marcus about what to do with my house after I die." She had the decency to look uncomfortable. "Mom, that wasn't. We were just discussing practical matters." You said, she'll be dead soon anyway. We might as well start planning now. That's what you said, that I'll be dead soon. Patricia's discomfort shifted to defensiveness. Mom, you're 73. You have to understand that we need to think about these things. Estate planning is important. Estate planning is something you discuss with the person whose estate it is, not something you plan around them as if they're already dead. I wasn't saying you're dying. I just meant, eventually. You said soon, Patricia. You said I'll be dead soon anyway. Do you understand how that makes me feel? To hear my own daughter discuss my death as if it's a minor inconvenience delaying her plans? Mom, you're being overly sensitive. I was just being realistic about the future. No, you were being dismissive of my present. Patricia, I'm alive. Right now, today, I'm alive. This is my house, my life, my decisions to make. And you're treating me like I'm already gone. Patricia's expression hardened. Fine, you're right. It's your house. But Mom, you need to be realistic too. You're not getting any younger. At some point, decisions are going to need to be made. By me. Decisions will be made by me about my life for as long as I'm capable of making them, not by you and Marcus conspiring behind my back. We're not conspiring. We're your children. We're trying to be responsible. Responsible would be talking to me. What you're doing is treating me like I'm already dead. After Patricia left, she'd only been visiting for the day. She lived about 45 minutes away. I sat in my quiet house and thought about other interactions I'd had with my children over the past year. How many times had Patricia or Marcus made comments about my age, about being realistic, about planning for the future? How often had they overridden my preferences or decisions with, Mom, at your age? I dismissed those comments as children being worried about their aging mother. But now I wondered if it was something darker, if they'd already started treating me as if I were in decline, as if my remaining time was so short it didn't warrant consideration. I called my friend Dorothy from church. Dorothy, can I ask you something? Do you ever feel like your children are just waiting for you to die? There was a long pause. Anne, what happened? I told her about overhearing Patricia's comment. Dorothy was quiet for a moment, then said, Anne, my daughter made a similar comment last year. She didn't think I heard her tell her husband that they just needed to wait it out until I was gone and they could sell my condo. I confronted her about it, and she acted like I was being dramatic. What did you do? I changed my will. My condo is going to my grandson now, not my daughter. If she's just waiting for me to die so she can profit, she can wait forever and get nothing. That seems harsh. Maybe, but Anne, when your own child reduces you to a dollar amount and treats your death as a financial opportunity rather than a loss, that changes things. I'm not dead yet, and while I'm alive, I get to decide who deserves what I've built. Dorothy's words stayed with me. Over the next few weeks, I started paying closer attention to how Patricia and Marcus interacted with me. I noticed that Patricia often phrased things in ways that emphasized my age. Mom, at your age, you should simplify. Mom, do you really need to keep all this stuff when, Mom, you should think about downsizing before? Every conversation seemed designed to remind me that I was old, that my time was limited, that I should be preparing for death rather than living my life. Marcus was subtler but similar. He'd make comments about the burden of maintaining my house, about how much easier it would be if I lived somewhere smaller, about how he worried about me rattling around in this big place all alone. Neither of them seemed to care that I loved my house, that I had no desire to move, that I was perfectly capable of maintaining my home and my life. They just wanted me to make things easier for them by dying, or at least by preparing to die in ways that suited their plans. I decided I needed to understand exactly what those plans were, so I did something I'd never done before. I looked at the family text thread between Patricia and Marcus that I wasn't included in. Marcus had left his phone on my kitchen counter while using the bathroom during a visit. I opened it quickly, found his messages with Patricia, and read. What I found was devastating. For over a year, Patricia and Marcus had been discussing my eventual death and their inheritance in detail. They'd agreed to sell the house immediately after my death and split the proceeds 50-50. They discussed which of my possessions they wanted to keep. Patricia wanted my grandmother's jewelry. Marcus wanted my husband's tools and workshop equipment. They'd even discussed the funeral, agreeing to keep it small and inexpensive to preserve more of the estate. But most painful were the comments about me personally, Patricia. I swear if she lives to 90 like Grandma did, I'm gonna lose my mind. I need that house money for Emma's college. Marcus, at least she's slowing down. Give it another few years. She's healthy as a horse. It could be a decade. We should just start treating this like it's ours already so she gets used to the idea. Good point. I'll start making suggestions about simplifying and downsizing. They were strategizing about how to make me feel like my house was no longer really mine, how to psychologically prepare me to relinquish control of my own life and property. I put Marcus's phone back before he returned, but I felt sick. This wasn't children concerned about an aging parent. This was children impatient for an inheritance, treating my continued life as an obstacle to their financial plans. That evening, I called my attorney, Catherine Morrison. Catherine, I need to update my will. Of course, Anne. What changes are you thinking about? Complete changes. I need to revoke the will I have now and create something entirely different. Over the next week, I worked with Catherine to completely rewrite my estate plan. The house, which had been set to be divided between Patricia and Marcus, would now go to my grandson Tyler, Patricia's son, who was 22 and had always been kind and respectful to me. My savings, previously split between my two children, would be divided 3 ways: 1/3 to Tyler, 1/3 to my nephew David, who'd been more attentive to me than my own children, and 1/3 to the church and local charities I cared about. Patricia and Marcus would each receive $5,000, enough that they couldn't claim they'd been accidentally omitted, but a fraction of what they'd been expecting. Anne, are you sure about this? Catherine asked. This is a major change. Your children are going to be shocked. They're treating me like I'm already dead, so as far as my estate is concerned, they can consider themselves already disinherited. You might want to include a letter of explanation, something that makes clear why you made these choices, so there's no question about your mental state or whether you were unduly influenced. I wrote the letter that evening. To my children, Patricia and Marcus. If you are reading this, I have died, and based on conversations I've overheard and messages I've read, I know that my death is something you've been anticipating, planning for, and frankly waiting for with more financial interest than emotional grief. I overheard Patricia tell Marcus she'll be dead soon anyway when discussing plans for my house. I read your text messages discussing how to make me get used to the idea that my home and possessions would be yours, discussing the inconvenience of my continued health and longevity. You treated me while I was still alive as if I were already gone. You reduced my worth to a dollar amount. You saw my continued life as an obstacle rather than a gift. So I made a choice. Since you treated me as already dead, I decided to treat you as already disinherited. My house is going to Tyler, who has shown me kindness without calculation. My savings are divided between Tyler, David, and charities that matter to me. You each receive $5,000, not because I want you to have nothing, but because I want you to understand that actions have consequences. When you treat someone as disposable, as almost dead, as an inconvenience, you lose the right to benefit from their life's work. I hope you learn from this. I hope you never treat anyone else the way you treated me in my final years. And I hope you understand I wasn't dead, not until I actually died. Every day you treated me as already gone was a day you stole from our relationship, a day you chose money over your mother. That was your choice. This will is mine. Anne Williams. With the new will complete and the letter written, I felt something lift from my chest. I'd taken back control. My death, whenever it came, would no longer be a windfall for children who couldn't wait for it to happen. But I still needed to address the immediate situation. I needed Patricia and Marcus to understand that I knew what they'd been doing and that I wouldn't tolerate being treated as already dead. I invited both of them to my house for Sunday dinner. They came expecting a normal family meal. Instead, they found me sitting at the dining room table with documents in front of me. "Mom, what's this about?" Patricia asked. "Sit down, both of you. We need to have a conversation that's long overdue." They sat, looking uncertain. "Patricia, do you remember the phone conversation you had with Marcus a few weeks ago? The one where you said, 'She'll be dead soon anyway. We might as well start planning now.'" Patricia's face went white. "Mom, I didn't mean—" "Yes, you did. You meant exactly what you said, that my death is something you're planning for, preparing for, impatient for. That my remaining years don't matter because they're inconvenient for your inheritance timeline." Marcus started to speak, but I held up my hand. "Marcus, I've read your text messages. I know you and Patricia have been discussing my house, my possessions, my funeral. I know you've been strategizing about how to make me get used to the idea that this house is essentially already yours. I know you've complained about my continued health and longevity." Both of them were silent, shocked. "Here's what you need to understand. I'm not dead. I'm 73 years old and in excellent health. I could live another 20 years. And during those 20 years, this is my house, my life, my decisions. Not yours." "Mom, we were just trying to be prepared," Patricia started. "No, you were treating me as already gone. There's a difference between responsible estate planning, which involves the person whose estate it is, and what you've been doing, which is dividing up my life like I'm already dead." "We didn't mean to hurt you," Marcus said quietly. "But you did. Do you understand how it feels to be told you'll be dead soon? To overhear your own daughter say those words with casual indifference? To realize your children are just waiting for you to die so they can profit?" Patricia started crying. "Mom, I'm sorry. I didn't think about how that would sound." "You didn't think about me at all. You thought about my house, my money, your inheritance, but not about me as a living person with feelings." "What do you want from us?" Marcus asked. "I want you to stop treating me like I'm already dead. I want you to see me as your mother, not as a future payday. And I want you to understand that I've made changes." "What kind of changes?" "I've rewritten my will. This house, which you've been planning to sell, is going to Tyler. My savings are being divided between Tyler, David, and Charity. You'll each receive $5,000. The shock on their faces would have been comical if the situation weren't so painful. "You're leaving everything to Tyler?" Patricia's voice rose. "Mom, that's not fair." "We're your children. And you've spent the last year treating me like an inconvenient obstacle between you and money. Tyler has treated me with kindness and respect. Why should you profit from my death when you've made clear that's all you're waiting for?" "So you're punishing us?" Marcus asked. "I'm giving my estate to people who value me as a person, not as a dollar amount. If that feels like punishment, perhaps you should examine your own behavior." "Mom, please, can we talk about this?" Patricia begged. "I know what I said was wrong. I'm sorry, but don't do this out of anger." "I'm not angry, Patricia. I'm heartbroken, and I'm done allowing myself to be treated as disposable. My life matters. My remaining years matter, and I will not spend them feeling like my own children are just waiting for me to die." The dinner ended shortly after. Both Patricia and Marcus left upset, shocked, pleading for me to reconsider. I didn't reconsider. Over the following weeks, both children called repeatedly. Patricia was frantic, alternating between apologizing and trying to negotiate. Marcus was quieter but persistent, asking what he could do to make things right. I told them both the same thing. I need to see that you value me as a person, not as an inheritance. That means stopping all discussion of my estate, stopping all suggestions that I should downsize or simplify or prepare for death. It means treating me as a living mother, not a dying inconvenience. Patricia struggled with this. She kept slipping into conversations about the house, about my belongings, about the future. Each time I'd stop her. Patricia, I'm not discussing this. I'm alive. Talk to me about my life, not my death. Marcus adjusted better. He started visiting more regularly, not to assess my decline or suggest changes, but just to spend time. We'd have coffee, work in the garden together, watch old movies. Slowly, I started to feel like I was a person to him again, not just a future inheritance. About 6 months after the confrontation, Tyler, my grandson, came to visit. He was 22, just graduated from college, trying to figure out his next steps. "Grandma, Mom told me about the will, that you're leaving me the house." "Yes, I hope that doesn't make things awkward. It makes me sad. I don't want the house because you're gone. I want you to be here." His eyes filled with tears, and I felt my own eyes sting. "Tyler, that's exactly why you're getting the house, because you see me as your grandmother, not as property to inherit, because you'd rather have me than have what I own." "I would. Grandma, you're not old. You're not dying. You're just you, and I love you." I hugged him tight, and for the first time in months, I felt truly valued. A year after the confrontation, my relationship with Marcus had largely recovered. He demonstrated through consistent action that he valued me as his mother. He no longer made comments about my age or my house. He just showed up, spent time, cared. Patricia was harder. She'd apologized repeatedly, but I could tell she was still struggling with the inheritance change. She'd try to be good, to be attentive, but there was always an undercurrent of resentment, of feeling punished. One Sunday, she and I were having coffee when she said, "Mom, I know I hurt you. I know what I said was terrible, but do you really think it's fair to take away my inheritance completely? I'm still your daughter." "Patricia, you're getting $5,000. That's not nothing. But the house, the savings, Mom, that's my childhood home. That's my inheritance." "It was your inheritance until you made it clear you were just waiting for me to die so you could claim it." "I wasn't waiting for you to die. I was just being practical about the future." "Patricia, when you say she'll be dead soon anyway, that's not being practical. That's being callous. And when you text your brother about how inconvenient it is that I'm healthy and might live another decade, that's not concern. That's greed." She was quiet for a long moment. "Do you really think I'm greedy?" "I think you lost sight of what matters. You started valuing what I own more than who I am." "And Patricia, until I see that shift back, until I feel like you'd rather have me alive than have my money, the will stands." "So I have to prove myself? For how long?" "For as long as it takes for me to believe you mean it." Now, if you're listening to this story, if you're an aging parent who's overheard your children discuss your death with casual indifference, if you felt reduced to an inheritance rather than valued as a person, if you've been treated as already gone while you're still very much alive, I need you to hear this. Aging does not erase your worth. Being older doesn't make you disposable, useless, or almost dead. Words that treat elders as already gone are a form of emotional abuse. Cruel words have consequences. "You'll die soon anyway" isn't just a sentence. It reveals true intentions. When children show that they only care about what's left after you, you have every right to protect what's yours while you're still here. You are allowed to redraw your boundaries, even late in life. Parents can choose who deserves their time, love, and inheritance. Blood doesn't automatically equal loyalty or respect. Here's what you should know if you're in a similar situation. First, your life matters. Right now, today, you matter. Not your death, not your inheritance, you. Your remaining years, however many they are, have value. Second, you have the right to change your estate plan. If people are treating you as already dead, you can choose to disinherit them. It's your property, your decision. Third, actions speak louder than apologies. If someone says they're sorry but keeps treating you the same way, the apology is meaningless. Look for changed behavior, not just words. Fourth, you can set boundaries about discussing your death. It's okay to say, I'm not discussing my estate, my funeral, or my death with you. I'm alive, and that's what we're going to focus on. And fifth, surround yourself with people who value you alive, not people who value what you'll leave behind when you're gone. Will changing your will cause family conflict? Probably. Will people accuse you of being vindictive or unfair? Likely. Will some relationships be permanently damaged? Possibly. But your dignity is worth protecting. Your remaining years are worth living without feeling like you're just an inconvenience to be waited out. I changed my will. I confronted my children. I made clear that being treated as almost dead was unacceptable. Did it hurt? Yes. Was it difficult? Absolutely. Do I regret it? No, because I'm not dead. I'm 73 and healthy and capable and living my life, and I refuse to spend my remaining years, however many they are, feeling like my own children are just waiting for me to die. Somewhere in Charleston, there's a 73-year-old woman who overheard her daughter say she'll be dead soon anyway, who changed her will, set new boundaries, and chose to leave her legacy to people who valued her alive, not just her assets after death, who refused to be treated as already gone. You can do the same. You're not dead yet. Don't let anyone treat you like you are. Your life has value. Your time has worth. Your dignity deserves protection. Stand up. Set boundaries. Change your will if necessary. You don't owe inheritance to people who can't wait for you to die. You owe yourself respect, dignity, and the right to live fully until the day you actually die, not the day they wish you would.